Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Gems for Gems, Hope in Hell. My name is Laura Lee Harrison, and I am a Gems ambassador. We have come a long way from the days before #MeToo, when Gems would be contacted regularly saying that most women who say they are abused are just saying that to get back at their ex. We have gained much acceptance of the reality that people are being abused across the street, in our neighbors' houses, and even often within our own families. Yet, we as a community still struggle to understand the varying forms of domestic abuse, their lasting effects on brain chemistry, self-esteem, and the future impact on all victims, including the children. Yes, even if they just witnessed it. Hope in Hell has been designed to show the different forms of abuse, but also to show that no matter how bad things get, there is always a hope in hell. These stories are real-life accounts of abuse from male and female survivors who got through, clung to hope, and have now built a sustainable life. Some accounts will be read instead of an interview, as many survivors continue to live in fear of their abuser, because although they left, the abuser often doesn't stop doing everything in their power to hurt their victims. For many, it simply never ends. Today on Hope in Hell, we have something a little different for you guys listening in. We have our first anonymous interview.
We want to hear your story, the moment when you knew you'd had enough, and then the climb to a better life.
I knew I had enough when I was sitting on the bathroom floor writing a goodbye letter to my family. This was where I had to think about what was actually going on in my life. I knew I wasn't a bad person, yet I felt like a failure, so beaten down, worthless, and afraid. Allowing myself to sit in that moment, have patience with myself, and feel every emotion I deserved to feel, I realized that I deserved to live. I deserved to feel good about myself, and my kids deserve their mother. I'm not better off dead and living in constant fear. I knew the climb to a better life wasn't going to be easy. The decision to walk was the scariest decision of my life, and it proved to be worse than I ever imagined, but it was worth it for myself and my kids. I still have to navigate post-separation abuse 3.5 years later, but I have created a happier and safer life for my kids and me. I can be my own person, make my own decisions, and not have to walk on eggshells or spend my days living in constant fear.
Thank you for being so brave and sharing your story. And I'd really love to hear more about how you met your husband and how the abuse started.
Since separation and having time to process my entire relationship, I started seeing things very differently from how I saw things when I was living it. I honestly never really knew the person I was married to 14 years ago. I started dating my ex back in late 2004. The abuse started very early on. It started with lies about who he was with and what he was doing. When he would get caught, it would be my fault, and he would threaten to leave me and tell me I'm not appreciative enough of him and the things that he does for me, and that he had this feeling like he had a leash on him. Slowly, the lies became more significant. I had a hidden box of cash when I was a teenager that went missing. Money also would get drained out of savings accounts. And when I would ask, he would lie to me about what the money was spent on. Then the gaslighting started. For example, we had to make a life-changing decision that would impact our future. And when we did come to a decision, he disappeared for weeks. I had no idea where he was. I couldn't reach him, and even his parents were unreachable. I was absolutely devastated. Weeks later, he finally contacted me, and when I picked him up to have a conversation, he lost his temper and tried telling me that we never discussed this topic. I had made this decision on my own. I was crazy, selfish, and disgusting. He told me that I never think about his needs, wants, or feelings, and how lucky I am that he came back. Then days later, he would show me more love than I ever thought possible. He would tell me how important I am. He couldn't live without me and wanted to build a future together. He would tell me I was his forever. I see now that that was something that we call the love bombing stage. And from the beginning, I experienced the vicious cycle of domestic abuse repeatedly that only got worse over time. He had me groomed and he knew it. He knew how to get me to feel like I not only needed him, but I couldn't live without him. He knew how to turn on the charm when needed. He was a master manipulator. He even had me thinking that when he would throw things at me, punch holes in doors and walls right next to my face, down to the other terrible things he did, that it was justified. My actions caused him to react that way. It was my fault.
Wow. Where did you find the strength to leave?
I found my strength from my kids and the ability to open my eyes to the possibility that a much bigger, brighter, freeing, and happier future awaits me. I once heard that rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. I had hit rock bottom, so that became the solid foundation in which I did just that. I found the strength to rebuild my life.
What was your motivation?
My motivation came from my kids and my entire support system. I am fortunate to have the people in my life that I do. During the process of leaving an abuser, you will lose some people. Not everyone will believe you. Some even turn their back simply because they feel uncomfortable by the situation. But I found who my people are. They have remained my constant cheerleaders and the support that I know I can always count on. I'm motivated because I continually want to make them and myself proud. My support system was a part of helping me become the woman I am today, and I'm forever grateful for these individuals. I also want to show my kids that you can overcome any hardship that may try and take you down, and that no matter what, there is always room to grow, work on yourself, and always know your worth. I have always learned to know your worth and never forget that. It helped keep me motivated even on the hard days.
Did you do anything specific that helped you feel empowered?
I did. One thing I would do to help me feel empowered was therapy. I attended individual sessions and also participated in different peer support groups with Say Jess. Working on myself and discussing my traumas with a counselor and other peers who had similar stories made me feel empowered. I was doing this for nobody but me. I was helping myself, and it made me feel stronger than I ever felt before. Therapy helped me realize I was taking my life back, and I was doing one hell of a good job at it.
When did you start to feel better and safer?
I slowly started to feel better as time passed. It took a while for me because I was so beaten down mentally. As I spent time away from this toxic individual, I felt the air was so much more lighter. I wasn't in fight or flight mode every minute of each day. I was finally able to relax a bit and enjoy the small things I couldn't enjoy before. As for feeling safer, that took a lot longer. My ex's behavior was highly controlling, unpredictable, and questionable. Even after 2.5 years after separation, the post-separation abuse continued. A handwritten, threatening, and disturbing letter was sent to an organization supporting and helping me move forward with my life. He also sent a photocopy of that letter to the home address of their founding member. In addition, he reported me to the city bylaw for running an illegal business out of my new partner's home, where an officer showed up at his door looking for me. Obviously, there is never any business, and he should never have known the addresses of these people. It was at this time when an EPO was granted in the middle of the night. Since then, the EPO moved into a no contact order. Since that order was put in place, the worry for my safety is less, but I still think about it from time to time. I'm not sure if the feeling of alert will ever entirely go away.
How have you kept going all this time?
I kept going because my past doesn't define me. I will never forget the past, and I have learned what I will never accept again because of it. I am working towards a positive, safe, and healthy future for my kids and me. That keeps me going every day, along with knowing how far I've come since the day I picked myself up off the bathroom floor and made the decision to walk away.
Did he try to get back with you?
It's hard to answer this. I don't think so. After separation, he had a moment where he was friendly and seemed remorseful, but it didn't last long. He was always more focused on convincing others that he was the real victim. His hate and anger towards me was too powerful, and it consumed him and still does to this day. I don't think that'll ever change. I don't believe the man really ever saw me as an equal partner, a wife, and a mother of his children. He couldn't respect me because to him, I was below him. The anger and his need for admiration, power, and control completely took over.
And just a few closing questions for our survivors and anyone listening. Are there any warning signs that in hindsight you see and want to warn others to watch out for?
In hindsight, the warning signs I wish I had watched out for would be the lying and blaming me for his actions. The second would be the constant need to put me down and his continual need for admiration, power, and control. I was young at the time and very naive. I thought these actions were out of love. At that time, I thought domestic violence was only hitting. Just in the recent years, I learned that domestic violence is so much more than that.
What is your biggest piece of advice for struggling survivors?
My biggest piece of advice for struggling survivors would be to be patient with yourself. Allow yourself the time to feel what you need to feel, and you do not need to justify your feelings to anyone. Always remind yourself that you are not to blame for someone else's actions. Don't be ashamed to seek help. Empower yourself. Be proud, because leaving an abusive partner is not easy, but you did it.
What would you like to say to the public in general?
I would like to say that it's important to educate yourself on this topic as best as possible. Nowadays, there are a lot of resources out there. Educate yourself on the different types of abuse, cycles of abuse, understand why it's not easy for someone to leave, learn how you can help support someone experiencing the abuse, and the warning signs you can watch out for. You never know when someone you know may need help, or you end up in an abusive relationship yourself.
I think that's really great. And it's really powerful for people to do that research for themselves to understand whether they are in a situation right now or have left a situation. Knowledge is power, and having that knowledge for yourself to recognize it for other people or your own self is crucial. So thank you so much for sharing your story and for being here with me today. It's been a pleasure to interview you, and bless you. You're
Thank
very
you.
strong and very beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I hope that not only my story and my interview, but all of the other stories that have came out and will come out in the Hope in Hell episodes can help people understand the cycle of domestic abuse. And if you're in it, it gives you the courage to be able to leave, and that there is much bigger and brighter things out there for you.
Absolutely. There is a hope in hell.
Thank you for listening to Gems for Gems, Hope in Hell. Gems for Gems is a registered charity focused on ending the cycle of domestic abuse through providing empowerment and scholarships to survivors. Our goal is to help survivors achieve personal and economic recovery to create lasting sustainability outside of abusive relationships. Gems for Gems has many ways for you to contribute to our cause. We have an empowering swag line through which every dollar you spend will be put directly towards our scholarship program and our newest initiative, Hope's Cradle. Please visit www.gemsforgemsswag.com. There are Donate Now buttons on our website, and as a registered charity, we can give tax-deductible receipts. We also have our ambassador team. If you would like to become more involved and help our organization achieve its goals from the inside, please visit our website, www.gemsforgems.com, and learn more about Gems for Gems. Please tune in to our next story and share this one with anyone or anywhere you would like. We can show every survivor, current victim, and community member that there is always a hope in hell, one story at a time.